Today we discuss population interactions. Can you think any natural habitat on the earth inhabit only members of one species? In case of plants also not possible. For example, plant species. Plant species. So plants absorb nutrient from the soil with the help of roots, trap the solar radiation, synthesize its own food material. So for pollination, one pollinator species is required. So within few days it may synthesize its own organic matter by utilizing inorganic matter. After few days, only soil contain organic matter. So this organic matter should converted into inorganic matter. So for the survival of one plant species also, at least in that habitat, one plant species, one pollinator species and one decomposer species should be present. Then only that plant species can survive. What is decomposer? It may be microscopic organism or large animal. Convert organic matter into inorganic matter known as decomposer. So in case of animal species, it is not possible. Animals depends upon plants directly or indirectly for their food. So now we discuss population interaction. That means on the earth no natural habitat contain members of one species. It is not possible. So in each habitat several plant species, microbes, animal species are present. They are interacting and it is known as biological community. It is known as biological community. What is community? Different population, different plant population, different animal population, different microbes. So plant species, animal species and microbe species live in each habitat, interact. So that's why it is known as biological community. Now we discuss interspecific interactions. Interspecific interactions. Interspecific interaction. Interaction between members of different species. Interaction between members of different species known as interspecific interactions. In these interactions, interaction between members of different species, not members of the same species. Members of the same species should cooperate. That is not a interspecific interaction. Interaction between members of different species. 6 types. Mutualism. Mutualism is an interaction. In this interaction, both the partners are benefited, known as mutualism. Mutualism. Another interaction not given in the textbook, that is proto-cooperation. Proto-cooperation. In proto-cooperation, also both the partners are benefited. If we separate, they can lead independent life. In mutualism, if we separate, they cannot lead independent life, they die. So it is a obligate interaction, and proto-cooperation is a facultative interaction, not compulsory, facultative. It is a facultative interaction. In mutualism and proto-cooperation, in these two, both the partners are benefited, and benefited represented by symbol plus. Harmed, detrimental means harmed, represented by minus. Zero means neutral, neither benefited nor affected. In mutualism and proto-cooperation, both the partners are benefited. If we separate the two partners, in mutualism, they cannot lead independent life, but in proto-cooperation, they lead independent life. So, mutualism is a obligate interaction, proto-cooperation is a facultative interaction. Next one, commensalism. In commensalism, one partner is benefited, another partner is neither benefited nor affected. Parasitism. In this interaction, one partner benefited by affecting the other partner. The benefited partner is known as parasite. Affected partner is known as host. In commensalism, benefited partner is known as commensal. Affected, so neither benefited nor affected partner is known as host. So the term host is used in the following interactions, both commensalism and parasitism. In commensalism, host is neither benefited nor affected, but in parasitism, host is affected. Predation. Predation is an interaction. In this interaction, one partner is benefited and another partner is affected. Benefited partner is known as predator and affected partner is prey. What is predator? The organism kill and eat another organism known as predator. The organism eaten by predator is known as prey. Commensalism. In this interaction, one partner is neither benefited nor affected, but another partner is affected. So, 0 minus. Commensalism. Parasitism and predation. In these two association, one partner is benefited, another partner is affected. Next one, competition. In this interaction, both the partners are affected. That's why this association is a detrimental, harm to both the partners. So these are the 6 interactions generally. Mutualism. In this interaction, both the partners are benefited. If we separate, they cannot lead independent life. Commensalism. In this interaction, one partner is benefited, another partner is neither benefited nor affected. Neither benefited nor affected partner is known as host. Benefited partner is known as commensal. If the commensal present on the surface of the body, known as ectocommensal. If the commensal present inside the body, known as endocommensal. So in commensalism, benefited partner is known as commensal. neither benefited nor affected partner is known as host. Parasitism. In this interaction, one partner is benefited and another partner is affected. Benefited partner is known as parasite, affected partner is known as host. Predation. In this interaction, one partner kill and eat other partner. The organism kill and eat other partner is known as predator. The organism killed by predator is known as prey. Commensalism. In this interaction, one partner is neither benefited nor affected, but another partner is affected. Commensalism. Competition. Competition is an interaction. In this interaction, both the partners are affected. So, competition. So, these are the 6 interactions we are going to discuss. Generally for PU, compulsory they frame one question, 5 marks questions from the interaction. So you have to give definition and examples. Now we discuss mutualism. Mutualism. So generally, mutualism generally between plant and animal species. Plant species depends upon animal species, either pollination or dispersal of seeds. So most of the example for mutualism between plant and animal species. Plants depends upon animal species for pollination or dispersal of the seeds. So in this manner, plant species are benefited. For this help, the plant species provide nectar, pollen grains for pollinator, provide juicy fruits to the animal species, helpful for seed dispersal. Lichens, mycorrhiza, lichen, mycorrhiza. So these are example for plant-plant interaction. Lichen, color of lichen, white in color. What is lichen? Algae and fungi. Algae and fungi live together, or cyanobacteria. And fungi live together. So algae synthesize its own food material. Fungi provide nutrients and protection to algae. In this manner, algae is benefited. Algae are cyanobacteria. For this help, they synthesize their own food material and provide some food to fungi. In this manner, both are benefited. If we separate, they cannot lead independent life. So lichens example for plant-plant association, mutualism. Next one, mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae, fungi. Interaction between fungi and roots of higher plants. Roots of higher plants. Fungi provide nutrients present in the soil to roots of higher plants. So fungi collect the nutrient from the soil and transfer to roots of higher plants. In this manner, higher plants are benefited. For this help, Higher plants provide food to fungi. In this manner, both are benefited. So, lichens and mycorrhizae, example for plant-plant mutualism examples. Lichen, algae and fungi are cyanobacteria and fungi. Cyanobacteria also known as blue-green algae. Mycorrhiza, fungi and roots of higher plants. How fungi is benefited in this association? The higher plants provide food to fungi. How higher plants are benefited? Fungi collect the nutrient from the soil and transport it to higher plants. So, in this manner, both are benefited. Another example. Fig tree, wasp species. Fig tree and wasp species. Between the fig tree and wasp species, one-to-one relationship is present. What is one-to-one relation? In fig tree, for example, A species, B species, C species, D. In wasp, 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, first wasp species pollinate the flowers of fig tree species A. Fourth wasp species pollinate the flowers of fig tree D species. So, it is known as one-to-one relationship. So, second, third, fourth wasp species never pollinate the flowers of fig tree A species. So, it is known as one-to-one relation between fig tree and wasp species. The wasp searching for suitable place to release the eggs. During this process, wasp species pollinate the flowers of fig tree. In this manner, fig tree is benefited. The wasp species release the eggs in the fruits. Eggs hatch up into larval forms. The larval forms feed on developing seeds. That means fig tree provide developing seeds to the larva. In this manner, wasp species is benefited. Wasp species pollinate the flowers of fig tree. In this manner, fig tree is benefited. So, it is an association between plant and animal. Plant and animal, example for mutualism. So, wasp species, in order to search for suitable place to lay eggs, pollinate the flowers of fig tree. The wasp species, the female wasp, release the eggs in the fruits. Eggs hatch up into larval forms. The larval forms feed on developing seeds of fig tree. That means fig tree provide developing seeds as food for the larvae. In this manner, both are benefited. Fourth one, Mediterranean orchid Ophrys. Mediterranean orchid Ophrys. Bees and bumblebee. Bumblebee is the smallest mammal. It is a bat. In Ophrys also several species. One Ophrys species pollinate by one type of bee. Another type of Ophrys pollinate by a particular bumblebee species. Here also one-to-one relation only. So, for example, we assume Ophrys A pollinated by bee, honey bee A, Ophrys B pollinated by bumblebee. So, this association exhibit sexual deceit, pseudo-copulation, sexual deceit, pseudo-copulation, and co-evolution. Sexual deceit, pseudo-copulation and co-evolution. For example, Ophrys-A, flowers of Ophrys-A pollinated by bee species A. So in Ophrys-A flower, one of the petal resemble like female bee. Now the male bee copulate with the petal. It is known as pseudo-copulation. It is also known as sexual deceit, sexual cheating. So same male bee when copulate with petal of another flower help in pollination. In this manner, Ophrys is benefited. How male bee is benefited? Fulfill the sexual desire. In this manner, both are benefited. Why it is known as pseudo-copulation, false copulation? The male bee copulate with the petal of the Ophrys. Why it copulate with petal of the Ophrys? One of the petals of the flower resemble like female bee, exactly size, shape, color, exactly like female bee. So that's why male bee copulate with Ophrys-A, for example. Similarly, for example, Ophrys bee species is pollinated by bumblebee. So in Ophrys bee, in the flower, one of the petal resemble like bumblebee, female bumblebee. So now the male bumblebee copulate with the petal, and same male bumblebee copulate with another petal. So at the time help in pollination. In this manner, Ophrys is benefited. How bee or bumblebee benefited? So they fulfill their sexual desire. So sexual deceit, cheating. Ophrys perform sexual cheating, and male bee or bumblebee perform pseudo-copulation, false copulation. Third one, co-evolution. What is co-evolution? In an interaction, one partner develop one adaptation. Another partner in that interaction also develop another adaptation to counter the adaptation of first partner. So that is known as co-evolution. For example, in future the female bee change the shape and color and size. At the time the petal also change the color and size. Otherwise the male bee fail to copulate with the petal of the flower. So it is known as co-evolution. In an interaction, if one partner develop one adaptation, another partner in that interaction also develop one adaptation to counter the adaptation of the first partner. So it is known as co-evolution. So sometimes they may identify the correct statement regarding Ophrys and bees and bumblebee. So it exhibits sexual deceit, pseudo-copulation, co-evolution. Once again, Mediterranean orchid Ophrys and pollinator bees and bumblebees. One of the petals of the Ophrys resemble like female bee, some species female bee, some species female bumblebee. Now the male bee copulate with the petals of the Ophrys. In this manner, pollination, involved in pollination, plant species is benefited. So the male bee fulfill its sexual desire. In this manner, male bee and bumblebee also benefited. So co-evolution. In future, if any change occur in the shape, size and color of the female bee, bumblebee, at the time the Ophrys also change the size, color and shape of the petal. Otherwise the male bee or bumblebee not attracted, so they never copulate with the petal. So it is example for co-evolution. So examples, 4 examples we discussed. One is lichens, algae and fungi. Second, mycorrhiza, fungi and roots of higher plants. Third is fig tree species and wasp species, one-to-one relation. For example, in fig tree 10 species are present, in wasp also 10 species. fifth wasp species pollinate the fifth fig tree species. In this manner, one species of wasp pollinate the flowers of one fig tree only. It is known as one-to-one relation. Fourth one is interaction between Mediterranean orchid ophrys and bees and bumblebees. Now we discuss proto-cooperation. Proto-cooperation. In proto-cooperation, both the partners are benefited. If we separate, they can lead independent life. So in proto-cooperation also represented by science plus. Proto-cooperation between tick birds and rhinoceros. On the back of rhinoceros, tick birds sit on the back of rhinoceros, feed on ticks, mites, So these are ectoparasites, feed on ticks and mites. Now the rhinoceros relief from the pain caused by blood-sucking ectoparasite. In this manner, rhinoceros is benefited. How tick bird is benefited? So food is available on the back of rhinoceros. So in this manner, tick bird also benefited. So animal proto-cooperation. Tick birds and rhinoceros. Tick birds sit on the back of rhinoceros and feed on ticks and mites present on the back. Ticks and mites are the ectoparasites. So now the rhinoceros get relieved from the pain caused by ectoparasite. In this manner, rhinoceros is benefited. Tick bird consume the food material on the back of rhinoceros. No need to go for searching of food material. In this manner, tick birds also benefited. So both the partners are benefited in this interaction. If we separate, they can lead independent life. Rhinoceros may feel some pain due to ectoparasite, but it continue to survive. Tick birds, if rhinoceros not available, they go for searching of food material. Somehow the tick birds also get food material. That's why it is a facultative interaction. Next one is Pulvianus bird. Also known as crocodile bird and crocodile. So whenever the crocodile open its mouth, at the time Pulvianus bird enter into the buccal cavity and collect the leeches attaches to the teeth. Now the crocodile is benefited, get relief from the pain caused by parasites. So Pulvianus bird also benefited. So in the mouth cavity of crocodile, leeches are present. So it feed on leeches. In this manner, both are benefited. Crocodile never swallow the Pulvianus bird. So in this interaction, both are benefited. So Pulvianus bird also known as crocodile bird. Whenever the crocodile open its mouth widely, Pulvianus bird enter into the buccal cavity and collect the leeches attaches to the gums. In this manner, crocodile is benefited. So for Pulvianus bird, food is available in the buccal cavity. So Pulvianus bird also benefited. Now we discuss commensalism. Commensalism is an interaction. In this interaction, one partner is benefited and benefited partner is known as commensal, and another partner is neither benefited nor affected, known as host, represented by 0, means neutral. Plus means benefited, 0 means neutral, minus means affected. So if the commensal present on the surface of the body, ectocommensal. If the commensal present inside the host body, known as endocommensal. Endocommensal. Endocommensal example, Escherichia coli. E. coli. Escherichia coli lives in the large intestine of human being and consume the undigested food. It is a unicellular organism, lives in the large intestine of human being. In this manner, Escherichia coli is benefited. Man is neither benefited nor affected. Example for endocommensalism is E. coli and human being. Example for endocommensal, Escherichia coli. So now we discuss ectocommensal examples. So commensalism. Commensalism. Barnacles present on the back of shark. Barnacles present on the back of sharks and whales. So whale is an aquatic mammal, shark is a fish. So barnacle, what is barnacle? Barnacle belong to arthropoda. They live in submerged water. The animal live in submerged water known as barnacles, rock barnacle, Balanus. So they attaches to back of the shark and whale, dorsal surface. Now the shark and whale transport the barnacle to long distances where plentiful amount of food is available. Now the barnacle separated from the back. So in this manner, barnacles are benefited, shark and whales are neither benefited nor affected. So ectocommensalism, present on the surface of the host only. Barnacles on the back of shark and whales. Another example. Epiphyte. Epiphyte present on the branches of mango tree. Branches of mango tree. First example, animal commensalism example. Second, plant commensalism example. Epiphyte lives on the branches of mango tree. So abundant amount of solar radiation is available. So in this manner, epiphyte is benefited. Mango tree is neither benefited nor affected. Cattle egret and grazing cattle. Cattle egret and grazing cattle. Cattle egret is a bird always present near the grazing cattle. So cattle egret exhibit brood parasitism. We discuss while discussing parasitism. Cattle egret always present near the grazing cattle. Before they graze on grasses, the cattle stir the grasses with the help of snout. They move the grasses. Why? If any insects or creatures are present, they flee from that area. Later they engulf the grass. So whenever they steer the grasses with the help of snout, so the insects try to escape from the cattle. So their intention is escape from the cattle. So at the time cattle egret capture the insects. So in this manner cattle egret is benefited. Cattle egret unable to capture the normal insect. Here the main intention of insect in this example is try to escape from the grazing cattle. At the time cattle egret engulf the insect. In this manner cattle egret is benefited, grazing cattle neither benefited nor affected. Cattle egret, grazing cattle. Next one, clone fish. Clone fish and sea anemone. Clone fish and sea anemone. Clone fish and sea anemone. So in this example, the clone fish always present near the sea anemone from the beginning. So sea anemone has nidoblast cells. It never utilizes nidoblast cells against clone fish. So the predators of clone fish fail to approach the clone fish due to fear from the nidoblast cells of sea anemone. So in this manner clone fish is benefited, sea anemone is neither benefited nor affected. Sea anemone never utilize nidoblast cells to protect the clone fish, but the predators of clone fish, so due to fear from the sea anemone, they never approach the clone fish. In this manner clone fish is benefited, sea anemone is neither benefited nor affected. So similarly Echinus. Echinus is a sucker fish. It attaches to shark, ventral surface of shark. Echinus attaches to ventral surface of the shark with the help of sucker-like dorsal fin. On the dorsal surface of Echinus, Echinus commonly known as sucker fish. First dorsal fin modified into sucker. With the help of sucker attaches to bottom of the shark. Now the shark during locomotion transport the Echinus to various places having plentiful amount of food material. In this manner Echinus is benefited. Shark is neither benefited nor affected. So examples for commensalism. So you already know E. coli. E. coli and human being. Escherichia coli lives in the large intestine of human being and utilize the undigested food present in the large intestine. In this manner E. coli is benefited, human being neither benefited nor affected. So it is example for ectocommensalism, and the remaining examples example for endocommensalism, the remaining examples for ectocommensalism. First you remember the examples, later you explain. So generally for 5 marks question, define commensalism with the help of 2 or 3 examples. So you have to write 2 or 3 examples depending upon the question. One example, Escherichia coli, human being. Barnacles lives on the back of shark and whales. Echinus on the ventral surface of shark. Epiphyte on the branches of mango tree. Cattle egret on the, so cattle egret depends upon the grazing cattle. Clone fish near the sea anemone. So in these last 2 examples, so they are not present on the host body, but they are present near the host. So in this manner, they may ask, in which of the following commensalism? The commensal is present near the host, not on the surface of the body. Cattle egret, clone fish. In the first example only, the commensal present inside the host body. Commensalism. Now we discuss parasitism. Parasitism. In parasitism, one partner affects the other partner in this manner benefited. That benefited partner is known as parasite and affected partner is known as host. The term host is used in two associations we already discussed. One is commensalism and another one is parasitism. Host is affected, parasite is benefited. Now we discuss different types of parasites. Parasite lives on the host body known as ectoparasites. Parasite lives on the host body, ectoparasites. Parasite lives in the host body, endoparasites. Lives in the host body, endoparasite. Ectoparasites lies in human being. Lies in human being. Ticks, dogs, copepods, marine fishes, copepods, marine fishes. So, lice act as ectoparasites in human being where they attach us to shaft of the hair, head louse, body louse, pubic louse, so different types. Lice are ectoparasites in human being. Ticks are ectoparasites on dogs. Blood-sucking, wingless ectoparasites, ticks. Copepods belong to Crustacea, Arthropoda. Ticks also arthropodans. So lice are insects, arthropoda. All are arthropods only. Copepods live as ectoparasites on marine fishes. So ectoparasites. Now we discuss endoparasites. The parasite lives in the host body known as endoparasites. Endoparasites are cytozoic parasite, histozoic parasite, coelozoic parasite, cytozoic parasite. Cyto means cell. The parasite lives in the cells of host known as cytozoic parasite. Example, Plasmodium. Plasmodium lives in the RBC and liver cells. Cytozoic parasite. Histozoic parasite. Cytozoic parasite also known as intracellular parasite. Intra means within. Intracellular parasite. Parasite lives within the cell. Intracellular parasite. Histozoic parasite. The parasite lives in the tissues. Lives in the tissues means between the cells. So histozoic parasite also known as intercellular parasite. Between intercellular parasite. Intercellular parasites in your syllabus: Entamoeba histolytica, Wuchereria bancrofti. Entamoeba histolytica lives in the tissues of large intestine. Wuchereria bancrofti lives in the tissues of lymph glands and lymph vessels. Histozoic parasite. Histozoic parasite also known as intercellular parasite means between the cells. Next one, coelozoic parasite. The parasite lives in the cavities of host known as coelozoic parasite. In your syllabus, Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides cling to the mucosa of small intestine. Taenia solium, tapeworm. So they are coelozoic parasites. The parasite lives in the cavities of host known as coelozoic parasite. So histozoic parasites: Entamoeba, another histozoic parasite Wuchereria, coelozoic parasite Ascaris, Taenia. Similarly, Trichomonas. They are the coelozoic parasite, lives in the cavities of host. Trichomonas vaginalis lives in the vagina, and it is a sexually transmitted disease, trichomoniasis. Trichomonas cause trichomoniasis disease. So this is about coelozoic parasite. Cytozoic, histozoic, coelozoic. Endoparasites classified into 3 types. The parasite lives in the host body, endoparasite. Cytozoic parasite. The parasite lives in the host cells, cytozoic parasite. Another name is intracellular parasite. Example, Plasmodium. Next one, intercellular parasite or histozoic parasite. Meaning is same. Inter means between the cells. Histozoic parasite. See, intercellular or histozoic parasite lives between the cells of the host. Example, Entamoeba. Entamoeba lives in the tissues of large intestine. Wuchereria lives in the tissues of lymph glands and lymph vessels of human. Coelozoic parasite. The parasite lives in the cavities of the host known as coelozoic parasite. Ascaris lumbricoides lives in the lumina of small intestine. Taenia, lumina of small intestine. Trichomonas lives in the vagina. So this is about coelozoic parasites. Next one is hyperparasite. Hyperparasite. The parasite lives in or on another parasite is known as hyperparasite. The parasite lives on or in another parasite is known as hyperparasite. Nosema is a protozoan parasite, lives in Spirophora. Spirophora is a parasite. It is also protozoan. Lives in the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder of a toadfish. It is one type of true fish. So Spirophora polymorpha is a protozoan. Lives in the urinary bladder of toadfish. Nosema lives in the Spirophora. So Spirophora is a parasite. Nosema is a parasite in another parasite. What is hyperparasite? The parasite lives in or on another parasite is known as hyperparasite. So Nosema is a hyperparasite on Spirophora. Spirophora is a parasite in the urinary bladder of toadfish. So in hyperparasitism, two parasites and one hyperparasite are present. Toadfish is a host for Spirophora. Spirophora is a host for Nosema. So how many hosts? 2 hosts. Spirophora is a parasite in toadfish. Nosema is a parasite in Spirophora. How many parasites are present? 2 parasites and 1 hyperparasite. What is hyperparasite? The parasite lives in or on another parasite is known as hyperparasite. So this is about hyperparasite, ectoparasite, endoparasites. Now we discuss adaptations exhibited by parasites. Parasitic adaptations. Parasitic adaptations. In most of the parasites, sense organs absent. In most of the parasites, sense organs are absent. Why sense organs are absent? Most of the parasites are endoparasite. They live in the host body, so no need of sense organ. Most of the parasites have anchoring organs. Anchoring or adhesive means attachment organs like suckers and hooks. Most of the parasites have suckers and hooks. With the help of suckers and hooks, they attach us to host cells or intestine, mucosa of intestine. So most of the parasites have anchoring organs or adhesive organ. Anchoring means attachment, suckers and hooks. With the help of suckers and hooks, they cling to the mucosa or host cells. So like this. Hook, and it is the sucker. With the help of hooks and suckers, they attach us to host cells or mucosa of intestine. Digestive system is poorly developed. Digestive system is poorly developed. Why digestive system is poorly developed? Most of them are endoparasites. They utilize the digested food from the host body or body fluids. That's why digestive system, well developed digestive system is absent. In some parasites, digestive system is completely absent. In members of Cestoda, order Cestoda, example tapeworm. In all tapeworms, digestive system completely absent. Why it got the name tapeworm? The body is dorsiventrally flattened like measuring tape, measures about 2 to 4 meters. That's why they are commonly known as tapeworms. In tapeworms, digestive system is totally absent. Reproductive system is well developed. Reproductive system is well developed. Why reproductive system is well developed? Most of them are endoparasite, lives in the host body. So somehow, to continue their race, they produce several number of eggs. For example, Ascaris lumbricoides. Every day it lays 2 lakhs eggs. Tapeworm contain 900 proglottid segments in tapeworm known as proglottid. Each proglottid contains 30,000 to 40,000 eggs. 30,000 to 40,000 into 900. Huge number, crores of eggs. So in this manner, reproductive system is well developed for the continuity of its race. Similarly, most of the parasite complete their life cycle more than two hosts. So why most of them complete their life cycle more than two hosts? So for the continuity of race, for example, in case of human being, liver fluke of human being, two intermediate hosts, liver fluke of human being, it is a parasite. Man is the primary host. Snail is the first intermediate host or secondary host. Snail is the secondary host. So in the liver fluke of human being, what is primary, what is secondary? Once again we discuss liver fluke of human being. Snail is the primary host, fish is the another host. So it is better to discuss what is primary and secondary host first. So primary host, the host in which the parasite undergoes sexual reproduction is known as primary host. What is intermediate host? The host in which the parasite undergoes asexual reproduction is known as intermediate host. In the life history of several parasites, more than one intermediate host, example liver fluke of human being. Moreover, several larval stages. For example, in liver fluke, Miracidium, Sporocyst, Rhadia, Cercaria, Metacercaria. These are the larval sequence in a sequence. Larval stages in a sequence. First, egg hatch up into Miracidium. It develop into Sporocyst. Rhadia develop into Cercaria develop into Metacercaria. So, in order to eradicate, we should eradicate all larval stages and all intermediate hosts. So, the life cycle of parasites is complicated. So, in this manner, the reproductive system is well developed. Parasites complete their life cycle more than one host and several larval stages seen in their development. So, these are some parasitic adaptations. Effect of parasite. Effect of parasites. Some parasites cause neoplasia. Some parasites cause neoplasia. Some parasites cause neoplasia. What is neoplasia? Formation of tumor. Example, retroviruses. retroviruses, all retroviruses cause tumors. HIV also retrovirus, it cause tumor known as Kaposi sarcoma. So some parasites cause neoplasia, formation of tumor. Example, retroviruses. What are retroviruses? The virus participating in reverse transcription. The virus participating in reverse transcription known as retrovirus. What is reverse transcription? Formation of double stranded DNA from single stranded RNA known as reverse transcription. Example, HIV example. So next one, hyperplasia. Some parasites cause hyperplasia. Some parasites cause hyperplasia. What is hyperplasia? If the parasite increase further cell division in the host. So in organism cell division is common. If the parasite stimulate further cell division in the host known as hyperplasia. Fasciola. Adult fasciola. Fasciola lives in the bile duct of sheep. Bile duct of sheep causes hyperplasia. For example, it is the normal bile duct and it is the parasite. So same, it is the normal bile duct. Same bile duct due to presence of parasite. Due to presence of parasite. So the parasite fasciola stimulate the further cell division of the cells from the lining of bile duct. So numerous cells are formed. As a result, what happened? The bile duct become narrow. The narrow bile duct failed to transport sufficient amount of bile. So impair the digestion. So what is hyperplasia? If the parasite hyperplasia. If the parasite increase further cell division in the host known as hyperplasia. Adult fasciola causes hyperplasia. Fasciola parasite lives in the bile duct of sheep. Due to presence of fasciola, the cells from the lining of bile duct undergo further cell division. So the bile duct become narrow. So the narrow bile duct failed to transfer sufficient amount of bile into the small intestine. So no proper digestion. Hyperplasia. Simple definition. If the parasite increase further cell division in the host known as hyperplasia. Example, fasciola. Gigantism. If the parasite increase the size of the host body known as gigantism. Larval forms of fasciola lives in the snail. Snail is the intermediate host. Larval forms of fasciola lives in the snail, cause gigantism in snail. The size of the snail body increases. If the parasite increases the size of the host body known as gigantism. Example, larval forms of fasciola lives in the snail, causes gigantism. Hypertrophy. Hypertrophy. If the parasite increase the If the parasite increase the host cell size, known as hypertrophy. Example, Plasmodium. The amoeboid stage present in the RBC of human cause hypertrophy due to presence of amoeboid stage. Amoeboid stage, the RBC become double. The size of the RBC become double, so it is known as hypertrophy. If the parasite increase the host cell size, known as hypertrophy. Example, amoeboid stage of Plasmodium lives in the RBC, causes hypertrophy. Due to presence of amoeboid stage, the size of the RBC become double. Another effect is parasitic castration. Parasitic castration. What is parasitic castration? If the parasite converts the fertile host into sterile host, known as parasitic castration. If the parasite converts the fertile host into sterile host, known as parasitic castration. Example, Saculina. Saculina belong to phylum Arthropoda, class Crustacea. It lives in the crab Carcinus manus. Carcinus manus. Scientific name of crab. So it lives in the Carcinus manus. While reach its target organ, it travel to the gonads. It travel through the gonads. So the gonads damages. As a result, fertile Carcinus manus converted into sterile. So if the parasite convert the fertile host into sterile host, known as parasitic castration. Why the fertile host converted into sterile host? Due to damage of gonads, the parasite passes through gonads and reach the target organ. In this manner, parasite destroy the gonads. Testes and ovaries are known as gonads. So this is about effect of parasite. So hypertrophy. If the parasite increase the host cell size, hypertrophy. If the parasite increase further cell division, hyperplasia. If the parasite increase the host size, gigantism. If the parasite responsible for the formation of tumor, neoplasia. If the parasite convert the fertile host into sterile host, known as parasitic castration. Now we discuss other effects. Parasites utilize the digested food. Digested food from the host body. So parasites release some chemicals in the host body. These chemicals are responsible for stunted growth. Stunted growth. Stunted growth. So not grow normal height, stunted growth. Similarly, the parasite utilize cells, liver cells, RBC, different types of cells. So the parasites utilize cells. Similarly, due to usage of cells, release chemicals, utilize the digested food, host become weak. Host become weak and host become vulnerable to predator. Vulnerable to predator. For example, in rhinoceros, several endoparasites are present. So the rhinoceros become weak. Now the lion easily kill the rhinoceros. So in this manner, that is the example. The predator easily kill the weak animal. So why some animals are weak? So reason is due to presence of parasites they become weak. Now such animals are vulnerable to predators. Now we discuss brood parasitism. Brood parasitism. Coel. Brood parasitism. So some birds fail to incubate their eggs. So what is incubation? The female bird sit on the eggs, provide temperature. Now the eggs hatch off into young ones. That is known as incubation. But coel fail to sit on the eggs, so they fail to incubate. That's why coel keep the eggs in the crow nest. So in the remote past, the eggs of coel differ from crow egg. So once the crow returned to their nest, observed some different eggs of other birds. So simply they throw the eggs of other birds. At the time, coel population is very few. That means only the coel population is reduces to less number. At the time, coevolution. What is coevolution? At present, today coel lay the eggs exactly same like that of crow. Color also same. So once the crow go for searching of food material, coel deposited the coel eggs in the crow nest. The crow returned to the nest during evening and they observed several eggs, but they are unable to throw. Why? All eggs are exactly same. So that's why the crow incubate all eggs. Another point is incubation time for coel egg is less when compared to crow egg. So the first incubated eggs are coel eggs only. Now the coel couple observe the crow nest. Once the eggs hatch off into young ones, now the coel frighten the crow. Now the crow flee from the nest. At the time, coel couple collect their young ones to their nest. So it is example for brood parasitism. So it is unable to incubate. Several birds unable to incubate their eggs. So they keep their eggs in the nest of, in case of coel, keep the eggs in the nest of crow. So if you observe from spring to summer, it is common in every year. So similarly, cattle egret and host bird is blue heron. Blue heron is a host bird. Cattle egret also deposited eggs in blue heron. So what is brood parasitism? Some birds fail to incubate their own eggs. So they deposited the eggs in the host nest. The host incubate the eggs. In this manner, coel is benefited, crow is affected. Why? It provide more temperature. So it keep on the eggs. Some days they fail to consume food also. Similarly, in desi fowl, sit on eggs for 21 days. After 21 days, eggs hatch off into young ones. So first few days, the farmers provide food. Last 5 or 6 days, they never take water also. They continuously sit on the eggs. So they lost some weight also. So in this manner, that is the case in case of fowl. Desi fowl sit on the eggs for about 21 days. So quail deposited the eggs in the crow nest. The crow incubated the eggs. Later, the quail couple frighten the crow and carry their young ones. Similarly, another example, cattle egret deposited the eggs in blue heron. Blue heron is a host bird. Cattle egret, we already discussed while discussing commensalism. Cattle egret and grazing cattle, example for commensalism. So this is about brood parasitism. Tomorrow we discuss competition.